Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 18 of What If Naruto Failed His Genin test and was given intense training. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Hope of the Uchiha clan that I posted on this channel, and I enjoyed that guys. And I also post a brand new episode over on Making 3 of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Josh and Seal inside of him, so go ahead and enjoy that as well guys. And also over on Making 2, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Neglected and Lost Everything, so go ahead and enjoy that as well guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and support, and yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last part that we left off, Kurosaki didn't stand a chance. As Naruto beat her into submission, she couldn't even move her arms when he was done. As Kurama shattered the control over Naruto that was placed on him by the Genjutsu because his attempts of getting free failed, as Naruto was able to subdue the sand. As he realized something, that Kurama wanted to be free before anything happened, that means if he died right here, Kurama dies as well. Something that had to do with the ceiling, as Kurama wanted to be free before anything has happened. With that, Naruto took on Lee, as after a few more matches, Lee and him was the last one left. An intense, gruesome battling happened, as both boys fought. Lee was out for blood, he was gonna kill Naruto, as both of them clashed vigorously, destroying the arena as Naruto ended up ripping one of Lee's arm off. As he moved in with his jutsu, as his blade was coated with wind, but Lee didn't stop as Naruto swallowed the entire place with shrapnels. Lee got pierced all over. He didn't stand a chance as his body was riddled with kunais and shurikens and piece of metal as he dropped down, collapsed from blood loss, despite him wanting to still go on, as he was quickly rushed towards the infirmary. As Naruto sat there, no one cheered because they didn't want to see him win. As Naruto made his way, as he spoke to his sensei before he made his way off, but she could not tell him that Sakura had killed her parents. The doctors had told Sakura not to go near her parents in the state that she was in, but they went near her, and the girl ripped them apart. As the Yamanaka searched her mind, and he saw the images in the girl's mind. So, the girl must have a rather intense Yamanaka friend that could alter mind visions, or it was her that did. But Harrison know the truth. Danzo was the one that did that. Harrison had no idea why did Danzo do something like that, to further infuriate Naruto, because if the girl ever find out, she was gonna be broken. And Naruto was gonna take it hard, as he had no idea why Danzo did something that stupid as the man was angry. But Danzo acted rather ignorant, like he didn't know anything. But Sakura had no memory of that. Yes, she has no memory of that. It wasn't going to come to the surface because it couldn't be fully removed. But Inoichi spoke towards Yujiro, and told her about the certain triggers, that she needs to keep the team calm and stable, as Sakura, taking on a pack mentality. After all, she's been out there in the woods, alone, with a bare minimum of chakra, and not to mention Naruto as well. She needs to not separate the group, or something bad, really bad was gonna happen. As Naruto went to visit Sakura at the hospital as she saw him, he told her that he did something bad in the tournament, but she told him that as long as he's alright, everything was fine. As Naruto went to get her something to eat as he made his way, Sakura left the hospital as she went to go and check up on Sai, as she met Guy on the way, as Guy spoke to her. As Guy said that she did not know, and she wondered what was Guy talking about. As Guy told her about his students, Sakura was shocked. Naruto wouldn't do something like that. He had to be goated to do something. They had to be the one trying to hurt him, so he hurt them back. As Naruto came back and saw Sarutobi, as Sarutobi tried to talk to Naruto, but Naruto was rather indifferent to him. After all, the man kept the secret of who his father was from him for so long. As Hiruzen told me that sacrifices had to be made, but the problem was Orochimaru While Konoha Festival was going on, Orochimaru had conquered the grass and also conquered Take. Yes, the man forces had conquered those two villages, as he was gaining a bigger army so that he could crush Konoha under his might. Sasuke's eyes were also removed as he was left completely defenseless, as Inoue did a psychiatric test on him, and he told the Hokage that Sasuke was not ready to get back on the field even if they transplanted a pair of fresh eyes into his sockets. He was not ready. So yeah guys, was basically as well left off. You guys can switch across the play, check it out for yourself. So this is Genin's new episode. Naruto was making his way. He had a package with food in his right hand. He ignored the looks of the personnel that were there, the medics. He ignored them all. But that did not mean he was listening to them, as he finally reached Sai's room. As he slowly opened the door, his gaze settled on Sakura's sleeping form, as her head was on the bed. Sai was wide awake. "Nicholas, help," he said. He mouthed the words. "Before Kinky raped me, I'm too beautiful to go." As Sakura shuffled a bit as Naruto came inside. "Perfect. I got you your death suit," said Naruto. He still didn't know how Sai drank this thing. "I see. Did you pass, Nicholas?" asked Sai. "I suppose I did," said Naruto. "We all did." "Have they checked on you?" said Sai. "That much sappiness cannot be normal." "I'm fine," said Naruto. "My arm hurt a bit, but I'm fine." "If you say so," said Sai, as he looked back down towards Sakura. "So you brought food and Kingichari is here sleeping on my bed. What is she trying to imply? Is this a three?" Even in her sleep, before Sai could finish the sentence, Sakura hand came up and punched him. But she didn't have much energy in her hand, so it just felt like a small bob on his cheek. "Does she do that on reflex now?" said Naruto, with a light smirk. A comfortable silence settled in the room. As Naruto finished unpacking the food, slowly he nudged Sakura to wake up. As her eyes fluttered open for a second before she sniffed the air. The next second her eyes opened completely, as she made a small yawn while stretching. "Food," said Naruto as he handed dango over to her. "Thanks," she said. They ate in silence. Every now and then she looked towards the door and window, like she was expecting someone to walk in. As Naruto was munching his ramen, "Naruto," Sakura asked. "Yeah?" "Can I have some?" she said, as she pointed towards his bowl. As Naruto was confused, but he had no problem, so he handed over the bowl and chopsticks. As Sakura held onto the ramen bowl in her hand, It's warm," she said, as tears filled in her eyes and started to run down her cheek. "Sakura, what's the matter?" he said. If I'm good, I'll have dango," she said. "If I'm really good, I can have warm things." As her face pressed against his chest next moment, she still held on to the ramen bowl in her hand tightly. As Naruto didn't know what to do, but he had to comfort her, so he hugged her. "It's alright," he said. "Everything's alright. You're safe now," he said. "It's all over." She stammered, as she just stayed there. As she sniffed him, "You smell of blood," she said. "It's nice," she said, that small smile on her face. Sai, "Smell of blood as well." "We all smell of blood." She clapped her hand together, putting on the ramen, as she giggled, like she made an inside joke that only she knew. Sakura," said Naruto. "Don't you want to eat the ramen before it gets cold?" he said. Her eyes widened as she took out the bowl and started to eat, as she had that look on her face that Naruto had when he eat his ramen. As that made him chuckle. "Cherry," said Sai as he sniffed himself. "I don't smell of blood." "Yes you do," she said. Her mouth was full, so it came out a bit slurry. "Don't speak with your mouth full," said Sai. "Swallow before speaking." "That sounds dirty," said Sakura after she swallowed. "Pervert." "I was stating the obvious," said Sai. "You are the kinky one, so I'm the only one not perverted," said Naruto. "What have I done to get all these perverts in my team?" The Harem Lord spoke, and he's the one claiming not to be perverted, said Sai. Well, as Naruto blushed in embarrassment, as Sakura laughed. This was good. This was her team, her pack, her friends. This was where she was meant to be. Ahem. As someone entered, "I didn't know about that title, Naruto-chan." As Jiraiya entered with a chuckle. As Naruto looked towards him with a surprised look. What, was he expecting to disappear after their peeping session and their mock intermediate training on the Rasengan? "Jiraiya-sama," said Naruto. "I am not Naruto-chan." "Oh right. Harem Lord, Naruto-sama," as Jiraiya gave a mock bow. "I've heard from a little bird that I'm watching the new tuning of Konoha. The Hokage is not a little bird," said Sai. "And a little bird can't be Hokage." "Ignore him, Jiraiya-sama," said Sakura in a firm tone. As Jiraiya saw the way the girl was judging him, she was judging him on how Naruto reacted to him, not in her own opinion. Well, from what Inuichi said, he had to expect that. What is the reason one of the three Sanins of Konoha has to be here now? That's the fighting spirit I like to see in the youth of today, he said, as he gave her a wink as he turned towards Naruto. I taught him well, didn't I? After all, I am the gallant Jiraiya. It's only natural he get women wherever he goes. So, said Sakura, her voice becoming too calm, as it kind of reminded him of Tsunade when she was pissed off. You're the reason why he has hussies and whores following him around. No, said Jiraiya. I taught him afterwards. But listen, kid, never, ever form a harem. Find a nice girl and pledge your heart to her, understood, said Jiraiya, and never betray that pledge. That's the way of the gallant Jiraiya, he said, as he glanced towards the girl who looked quite angry. Jiraiya-sama, said Sai, aren't you a porn and smut writer who has hundreds of lovers over the elemental nation? Learn what I teach, not what I do, said Jiraiya. Oh, said Sakura, and what would a porn writer want with my teammate, if not to send him down a dark path? Well, there go her respect for him. Well, I offer Naruto apprenticeship under my tutelage. No, as Sakura moved in front of Naruto, as she already took her to her kunai, you won't have him. He's my teammate, not yours. Go find someone else to corrupt. Calm down, said Jiraiya. Calm down. I said I offer him. He did not accept. As Sakura turned towards Naruto, as Naruto looked towards her kunai, as he nodded, they were in the hospital. Where did she get a kunai from? Well, she had took it from the nurse's pocket. That would teach them never. Left themselves open. Sakura, calm down, drop the kunai. There's no need, said Naruto. She nodded, as she put away the kunai. So what do you want, she said. She looked towards Jiraiya. You three and your sensei, said Jiraiya. You guys will be my escort as we move around Konoha border. I've been told that one of you can send message easily with ink. And I'm guessing that is you, he says. He looked towards Sai. And I can also tell someone and let them know more about their family, as he looked towards Naruto. And you, Little Miss, what would you like to do? Protect my team from old wonkers, she said. Perfect, said Jiraiya. We'll make you a wonderful Kunoichi. I don't trust you, she said. But then again, why does a Sanin need an escort? There are some rumors of a mercenary organization operating in some countries, and since the latest news, as he looked around, he then whispered, we're in a silent war. As Sakura's heart plummeted, Sai remained unfreeze, as Naruto frowned at that. A war is gonna break out, Sakura asked. Where? Against who? It's apparent that Orochimaru has acquired the Hidden Sound services. He has attacked Taki and last seen passing through the hidden grass. If he keeps up the current direction, he will hit the hidden rain by the end of the week. Where are we stationed then? Sakura asked. Jiraiya became serious. We're heading straight towards the Hidden Sound, he said. Without Orochimaru or his army there, a bulk of it, we'll be able to get a glimpse at the village and see which key structures will need to be hit to cripple their production and morale. So that's why, said Naruto. That's why the Hokage asked me. Listen, Naruto, let me handle the old man. You're centuries too young to outplay him. Well, I'm still not in his own league yet, but at least I have my good looks carrying me by. When are we to depart, Jiraiya-sama? Once you are all healthy, said Jiraiya. I will be going alone to check on the Hidden Rain situation and find a lead for the mercenary organization. Afterwards, we will be gone for a good amount of time. Most likely 6 to 7 months. It could be more, so pack what you can't live without. And be warned, we won't always be sleeping in an inn or whatnot. And find out what your chakra affinities are, and get a technique down before I come back. If you haven't, by the time I return, I will personally write you in my next smut book as a rather inappropriate character. What? Sakura said. What the hell's wrong with you? You pervert! Hey, you got it wrong, he said. I'm not just a pervert like your friend there. As he went into a pose, Jiraiya-sama is a super pervert, he said. This is a hospital, nurse enter. Keep your perversion out of here. Yeah, Sakura said. And please sign my book, the nurse said, as she pulled out a book. Ichi, nurse, Miko, heart secret. As Sakura eyed twitch. Meanwhile, Kabuto hand over the Uchiha eyes to its contact, Ryuzetsu, the woman, a sleeper, secret agent from the grass. First Division had entered the exam through false pretenses of being Ataki Kunoichi. She was supposed to be the carrier of the eyes towards his master Orochimaru. Secretly, the Sound team had made sure they kill her teammates so that she would deliver the eyes efficiently and promptly. Remember the playmate, he said, just to make sure she understands what would happen if she were to leave the eyes. The box, she said. We have it, said Kabuto, and we will open it unless those eyes reach their destination. As Kabuto flashed away, as she was currently wearing a Genin outfit from the hidden sand, the sand ninjas were leaving to be prepared just in case the hidden rain fall. Many things were happening at once. As Kabuto smirked and made his way, if everything went perfectly, or if things in the panel so quickly, or if things went wrong in the end, they still had backups. Time skip. As Hiruzen watches the envelope flash in front of him, Hokage-sama, we start spreading the pamphlets. As Hiruzen nodded, very well, keep envelopes ready. There. The interceptor the moment she began moving towards Konoha understood as the envelope flashed away. So, Danzo, Hiruzen said, what brings you here? I do not doubt that your hearing has gone senile over the past couple of years. Or do I doubt your brains? But what you're doing, Orochimaru will never expect a mole to end up in his nest. I can bank on that. And Jiraiya protection as well. Like you did for the Uchiha in the exams. Where was his protection? Weren't you the one with the deal? Hiruzen asked with a smile. Protection in exchange for silence. Aren't you the one that failed him? As Danzo's eyes narrowed for a brief moment as he laughed. You knew. Said Danzo. You knew from the very beginning. You knew. And yet you did nothing. And you did this to discredit me. Knowing its protection would be lacking because of what was going on, Danzo said. You know what happened to the other eyes then, if you had the Uchiha eyes taken. That's a hefty assumption, Danzo. A rather hefty assumption, said Hiruzen as he got to his feet. The both of them were silent. And the both of them moved as kunai clashed against Danzo. Ripple of air counter rock shards as the two men separated with a slash. As Danzo's right eye socket burst with a shower of blood, as Hiruzen had a nasty gash in his arm, but he was holding something in his palm, a Sharingan eye, which he ripped from Danzo as he crushed it the next second. I hope my message has been clear, Danzo, Hiruzen said. I was willing to turn a blind eye as long as your act was in favor of Konoha, but now I have a Genin dead, others in the hospital fighting for their life, and if Naruto had managed to overcome this and kill the Tishikage granddaughter, war would have come. Are you so desperate for war, Danzo? Not knowing the repercussions, not knowing the lives that would be lost. Whereas my teammate gone, I do not even recognize this psychopath, Warhawk, in front of me. You know nothing, Danzo said. Your actions are once more guided by your soft heart. You have no idea what you're doing. You expect this action to be without consequences? No. But if I had not acted, now you'd have used that accursed eye on me. I swore I would never. But a shinobi promise is never. 100%. Isn't that right, Danzo? How did you know which eye it was? You never asked for a transplant. You could have got back both of your eyes, but yet you did not. Which means you had something to hide. Like Kakashi's. And what makes you so certain it was me? It could have been a spy. It could have been the boy just out for blood. Well, I met with Naruto earlier, and he was a bloodthirsty animal, Hiruzen said in a sarcastic tone. You think I didn't see it? The pain behind his eyes. Because he had no control over himself. Because you did that to him. And the pain and the guilt that he will have to live with. Ripping apart one of his own comrades in arm. Because he had no self-control. Because of you. I warned you before. This is the consequences of your action, Danzo. And so what now? Are you gonna kill me, Hokage-sama? Danzo asks, as Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. Before he shook his head, no. You are assigned to the front line, Danzo. As the head of the military. You will recapture Take and the grass. And then march against Orochimaru. I want it to be clear. I did not kill you today. Because your men are needed. But you are hardly essential. Now take all your able-bodied men and move to the front. Now get out of my sight, Hiruzen said. As Danzo just looked at Hiruzen for a moment, he simply nodded as he turned to leave. Tobirama-sensei was wrong for choosing you back then as Hokage, Danzo remarked, as he walked through the door. But in the end, you grew to fit the mantle, and with his bleeding eye socket, the Yami of Shinobi left the Hokage's office. As Hiruzen turned toward the window, I will protect Konoha from enemies within and without. But I'll believe in you one last time, my old friend. For as long as I draw breath, that is my duty. As he took a deep breath, my duty as a Hokage, but Hiruzen would never be fooled again. Things would go under his watch. Time skip. Hiruzen smiled warmly as the three new Chonins of Konoha strolled into the room, their vests hiding their underneath clothes for the most part, as Naruto's wearing a black shirt, his hair once more black and spiky. Sakura's own shirt was a crimson red, with black stripes on it, and orange stripes as well. As Sai, clothes did not change. Very well, Hiruzen said, as he nodded towards Iruka, who was sitting towards his left. As Chonin of Konoha, you will now begin elemental training. For that to happen, we must first find out what your affinity is. As 3 pieces of paper were given, 1 to each. The paper is chakra sensitive. When you send chakra into it, it will split. If your nature is wind, burn if it is fire, soggy if it is water, crumble if it's earth, and crackle if it's lightning. As soon as Iruka finished explaining, Naruto paper tear, revealing wind. Sai's paper burn. He already knew what his affinity was. Sakura paper combust as well, as she was startled as she dropped it. Fire nature, 2 out of 3, Iruka said. And a wind nature. It's extremely rare in Konoha. Well, guess your teammates are really lucky to have you in the team, Naruto. And you guys try not to burn half of the village down while practicing together. What's that supposed to mean, said Sakura. Fire and wind used together becomes immensely more powerful, Iruka said. In the Fire Nation, most users are able to use fire, and the sun is our exact opposite with the wind. So that is why we are such close allies to them. The Great Fireball Jutsu is the standard fireball technique we have learned for fire, and the standard wind technique is the wind style vacuum. Serial wave, Hiruzen said, as he wrote 2 documents. Head to the library and deliver these to the librarian. Remember, no technique may leave the library at any one moment, and if found with a technique scroll outside, the penalty is imprisonment for at least 5 months, as Iruka gave the Chonins 1 at a time. 2 of them had a red seal to keep them closed, while the third had a light bluish one. Very well, Hiruzen said, you're dismissed. As the 3 of them nodded as they left the room. As Naruto thought about being a wind user, before he could get more in-depth about his thoughts, their team bumped into another one, Shikamaru, Choji, and Ami. Their Jonin sensei was Asuma with a cigarette in his mouth, if Naruto remembered correctly, as he walked behind the team. Well, Asuma said, I suppose congratulations are in order then. Thank you, Sakura first replied, with a bow, as she looked towards Ami with a questioning look. Exams are a fraud, said Shikamaru, already knowing why Sakura is looking at Ami that way. It's the sort of thing that all village know, but they don't speak of. Indeed, Asuma said. Well, we're late for our missions, he said, as Ami looked towards Sakura's new outfit, her Chunin vest, with envy in her eyes. As she paused, Naruto-kun, Ami said. Can I ask you a question, she asked, as she stopped directly in front of him. Yes, he said. What does it feel like to be a bloodthirsty monster? Ami, said Asuma. What, sensei? He was laughing when he did that to poor Tenten. Shouldn't he be leashed and chained up somewhere? Ami, please stop talking, said Shikamaru. As Shikamaru was narrowing his eyes towards Sakura, the girl was visibly shaking her hand, clenching so tight. As Sakura looked towards Ami's neck, she just cut it clean open. She didn't have any weapons in her hand, so she could tear her neck open with her teeth and rip her head off. Or she could make it less messy. Wait until she go home and simply end her existence with a kunai to the neck. Threw her body in a dirty alley and made the rats feast on her flesh. Exactly, said Shikamaru. Because he's dangerous. Do you really want him angry at you? Said Ami as she flashed her hair. Well, his teammates aren't anything better. What's up with that one? Is his face just stuck in that way? She said, looking at Sai. And that scar. She shook her head as Sakura's hand went up towards her neck wound. Sai stepped forward. As he looked directly at Ami, she stepped back. What? What is it? Sai said nothing. Creepy, Sai said. She think that she's alive, dickless. What? Of course I'm alive, Ami said. I didn't die back there. Did I? You're a ghost, he said as his hand passed right through her. You're dead. You're not really here. Go on to the lights as Sai's body started to glow, a blue color. What? I'm not dead, Ami screamed. As she ran away from the light, running down the corridor, Asuma raised his eyebrow, looking at Sai. Kurenai taught you, didn't she? Indeed, Sai said, as he calmly dispelled the genjutsu. Well, at least there wasn't any bloodshed, as Choji started to munch as he walked towards her arm and went after. Shikamaru sighed, troublesome, as he walked off as well. Sorry for them, Asuma said. They're still kids in the inn. Of course, Sakura said. Of course. As she was smiling as she spoke. Have you already been told about the passcodes? To access the Chunin lounge? Yes, it's on the 3rd floor of the tower, right? Sakura said, a faint smile on her face. Exactly, Asuma said. Pass by the lounge, sometime tonight. They're bringing up a welcome party for you. Really? Said Naruto. Chunins are what form the bulk of Konoha Shinobi. You will probably remain at Chunins for years. Better to become friends than enemies with them, since you will probably take up missions with other Chunins than your team. Sakura eyes looked downcast, like a thin veil of misery had settled on her. Anyway, good luck with the librarian, as Asuma walked off. As the three of them left, Sakura off as she crossed her arms. Really, the nerves of that girl. That was plain mean. Plain stupid, said Sai. Well, wasn't she right, Naruto asked. Slap. As Sakura slapped him, say it again, she hissed. Well? He remained quiet. Good, she said, as she moved her hand up and down. What are your cheeks made of, she said as she winks a bit, moving her hand around. I don't know what they all have against you, but listen to me. You are not a monster. They can go and screw themselves for all I care. Even if I watch the recordings of the fight, it will never change my opinion on you, she said. You shouldn't watch alone, Sai said. You're probably gonna wet yourself. Hey, I'm not afraid of... She paused, as Sai simply smirked. A strange smirk, watching them fight, sweating and panting, and as she punched him away, as she understood what he meant by wetting herself. Sakura then started to cough, as Naruto placed a hand on her back, as she shook her head. Pervert, 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 she said towards Sai. I'll have to keep you on a short leash. When you go with that super pervert, wouldn't want you to become something worse. As they came to the library, there was a sign outside. They had the recordings of the Chunin exam, given the fact that they were in the hospital for a few days. It was already out. As the old librarian saw them. Ah, new Chunin, right? As she looked them up and down before nodded. Go to the Chunin section and ask for Homura Mikado. Hand over the permission scrolls to him, and he will take care of it. Sakura paused. She took a step forward. I would like a copy of the Chunin matches, she said. The woman nodded as she browsed through a drawer for a while, pulled out what looked like a thick bundle of cloth. The tape is supposed to be returned by the end of the week. Thank you, ma'am, said Sakura, as she returned back to her team and followed them through the half-hidden passageway. Bunches of Chunins were inside, hovered over papers and files, as they were all talking together. They passed by them as they went towards an old man with glasses. Yes, Homura-san, said Sakura, as she brought up her scroll. Ah, the man said. 3 fire techniques. I'm Wing, said Naruto as he handed over his scroll, as Sai placed his on the counter. Ah, very well, Homura said. You are unlucky, he says. He looked towards Naruto. To think that Danzo is a Wing user, and he has been just assigned to the war front. You know Danzo-sensei? Said Naruto. Yes. I was one of his teammates during the war. That's how we know each other. He spoke rather fondly of you. Oh, is that it? Said Naruto. I couldn't see him, and I thought that... Don't worry, Homura said. He's tough and cranky. The enemy ninjas won't manage to even scratch him. The man grabbed 3 scrolls and gave it over. Here you go. You can't leave the room with these scrolls. Taking notes is fine, but you can't. Bring them outside. They nodded as they went over towards the empty table and sat down. Sakura was the first one to open her scroll, followed by Sai. As Naruto slowly opened his scroll, I could teach you that. As Naruto jumped a bit, the fox speaking, it hadn't spoken in a long time. I could teach you about sealing, about fire techniques, wind techniques, everything that you desire. Naruto closed his eyes. Shut up, he said. As you wish, said Grandma with a smirk. As Naruto looked down towards the scroll, the words looked alien to him. Sakura was messing with her hair and looking towards the scroll. Sai was calm as ever, and he felt rather unfit. He was a Chunin, but what did that mean? Did that make him more powerful? Did he acquire this rank through his skills? Or was it because of the Kyuubi? As Naruto sighed, would he have won against Kurosaki, Tenten? Would he have won against all his 3 opponents league without the fox strength? In the end, without the fox, what was he? Was he still Naruto? He didn't know the answer to that question. His life without the fox would be easier, but then again someone had to shoulder that burden. What if it was Sai or Sakura who ended up with the Kyuubi? as he sighed. As his mind was occupied with so many thoughts, time was passing as he was just thinking. Naruto. As he turned. Is there something you don't understand? Asked Sakura. Softly, he nodded. Well, what's the problem? She asked. He frowned as he pointed towards the scroll. What does brachial equipment of an interpurulent jump, followed by a pharyngeal, extremiated streams of chakra, through multiple division of wing, separating and spinning, encounter? He asked. Sakura came over closer to him. Ah, it means that you have to hold your hand in front of your mouth, as you're ready to stab it forward, while at the same time exhaling from your throat chakra. The chakra must be divided into various shapes. As she was softly whispering, as she was rather close to him, as he smelled her perfume, while you must take the streams of chakra and make them spin against one another, she finished off softly, as her eyes settled on his. The both of them just looked at one another for a moment, uninterrupted, as Sakura slowly tucked one of her locks behind her ear, as she seemed to be thinking about something as she looked at him. No orgies in the library, Sai said, breaking the moment as Sakura eye twitched, as Naruto exhaled a breath, as he returned back to his scroll. So basically, he had to make the chakra in his throat spin like the Rasengan, but one against the other. Sai, can you step outside with me a moment? Asked Sakura, as Naruto heard something banging outside, as Sakura then came back in a moment later with a smile. Sai has gone home for the moment, she said. Did you call immediately for him? Said Naruto. I never really hit him that strongly, Sakura said. After all, I'm not a violent person, she said, as she fidgeted with her fingers. Naruto tried to keep a calm face, but his lips started to twitch, as he struggled to hold in his chuckle. As he smiled. Should we go somewhere, you and me? He asked. Like on a date? She asked. We should talk about this outside, he said, as he rolled back up his scroll and handed it to Homura. As Sakura followed him. Do you have a tape recorder at home? He asked. Yeah, why? You want to? We can watch that, said Naruto. And then you can decide. Naruto, no matter what is in there, I would never. Just do it for me, he said. Please. As she nodded, she felt somewhat anxious. Her parents had not come back yet from their trip, and she had been taking care of the house, but it meant that the both of them were going to be there alone. Did she manage to spread her bed? Did she remember to clean certain areas? As she realized that Naruto was going to enter her house. He entered before, but what if this time he came in her room and the both of them were alone? It was normal, after all, packs sleep together in a cave so they could ward off the cold. Yeah, it was normal, she thought to herself. Welcome, she said, as Naruto nodded. You want something to drink? As she made him sit on the sofa. There's water and milk. I could put on some tea if you like. Sakura. Just put on the tape and sit down, he said. She nodded as she sat down on the other side of the sofa, as the television soon turned on as she had replaced the tape. As the matches started to click on. Welcome to the broadcasting of the Genin tournament, the man said. As Naruto saw him, he saw himself there, and he also saw Tenten as well. The girl was smiling as she waved her hand towards the camera, as she gave her teammates, Neji and Lee, a bump on the shoulder to do so as well. She looked so happy. She didn't have the cube in her stomach, she was an orphan like him. She was normal. She was the one that placed the trap that Sakura was unable to dodge. She was only trying to look out for her teammates. Why had he believed avenging such a wound meant ripping her to pieces and showing no mercy? That word, that sentence clicked into his head. Show no mercy. Why? Why didn't he show any mercy? Why did he have to list the Danto Sensei words? Clearly, the man didn't really want him to kill her. Did he? As the first match was Sakura. I couldn't let him hurt you or Sai, she whispered. As she saw what she did. He was strong, really strong. And I knew I couldn't beat him, no matter how hard I trained. So I had to bet everything on that move. I knew that it would hurt afterwards, but pain is a constant thing in the shinobi world. As Naruto saw his match came up, he didn't have a full recollection of what exactly happened after all. He was fighting himself inside of himself, his darker half and the cube at the same time. So, it was just his wild animal instinct going on the hunt and ripping Tenten apart. So this was basically the first time he saw what he actually did. He won within a minute of the match, and yet it felt like a long time in his mindscape as he watched as he brutally ripped into her stomach, two tails behind him as he ripped her apart. The Jinchuriki of Konoha, Naruto Uzumaki. He has complete control over his demon. He's the youngest host of the Jinchuriki. I think I'm gonna be sick, the commentator said. as Naruto felt sick as well as he watched himself rip her apart, and he kept her alive somehow. As he tore her, as she felt every single amount of pain, he ripped out her oranges one by one. Sakura ran out of the room as she rushed up the stairs. As Naruto shut off the tape, as he heard Sakura in the bathroom, he clenched his fists. Wasn't this proof enough? Weapons aren't supposed to have anything. Your mother was pretty clear on that, you know that, right? You know, in her, I couldn't even stretch my leg or play shogi. I was just sealed away tightly. I was on a circular table with chains, stabbing into my body. And she took my chakra whenever she feel like. Just leave and forget this day ever happened. It will be better for both of you. No one wants you, Naruto. They only want me in the end. He shook his head. He was going to listen to Kyubey, not yet. He then heard Sakura in the bathroom. She was puking. If his very presence made her vomit, then why was he still insisting? He wasn't even supposed to try. There were regulations, there were laws to be followed. As Naruto quickly rushed out of her apartment and ran away. Meanwhile, Sakura was puking. Images assaulted her mind, not of Naruto tearing apart Titan, but animal carcasses. Animal carcasses that she had to eat to survive. Their glassy eyes on the ground. She was forced to shadow a tiger pack, out there alone in the forest. She remembered their smell. She recalled the fear, knowing that Uncle was out there, if she did not shadow the tigers and act like one of them. To protect herself in the wild, Uncle would come out of nowhere and break a bone, snap a limb, or slice her with a kunai. She punched her, she made her eat dirt, hallucinogenic, fungi or something else. She had to follow the tigers, she had to act like them, keep up with their strive, their movements. She had to be aware of the biggest one, the alpha, and she had to eat their prey remains. The tigers had ripped apart the people that were left in the forest of death, and she took their old tools, and she had to use them. Every moment was a fight of survival. Every moment was a fight of surviving out there, because if she did not fight to survive, she would have been torn apart. She puked once more, as tears fall down her face. She was a disgusting monster. She had been so hungry she remembered. The cub was out there alone. What did it matter to a tiger mother if she ate one of their cubs? Nothing. But she had been careless, and the tiger had came, and she had paid. She puked one last time, before she released a shuddering breath. She was alone, and she started to panic as she got to her feet, accidentally hitting her head on the wooden plank as she exited. As she walked down the stairs, as she couldn't find Naruto, he had run away. He ran away from her. She had to find someone. She had to find her sensei. She was a pack leader, right? Meanwhile, Yujiro was currently waiting for Hayate to return. Shortly from guarding the gate, he should have been back by now. She heard a lot of knocks assaulting her door, as she heard a choke cry, and someone calling out Sensei, as she opened the door slowly first. It wasn't a genjutsu, but it was really Sakura crying in front of her door, as she let the girl in. The girl stumbled before her forehead was bleeding, as she hit her head, and she stumbled right into Yujiro's arms. Sakura. He left, Sakura said. Who? Asked Yujiro. Who left? Naruto. We watched it during the exams and he left. I don't know what to do. And Sakura said, Yujiro, breathe. Breathe. As she made the girl calm down, Yujiro's mind was running a second though, as she wondered if Sakura meant that Naruto left the village. As her blood ran cold in Anfu, turning traitor meant a death sentence. It doesn't matter when you were found. The moment you recognized, you were gonna die. Where did he go? Did he tell you? No, Sakura said. I'm alone. He left me alone. I'm alone like just in the forest, she said. Sakura, calm down. As Yujiro realized, as she remembered what Inuichi said to her. Come on, calm down. Do you know if he betrayed Konoha? What? No, he wouldn't do something like that, said Sakura. Wait, isn't he trying to leave Konoha? No, he left my house without telling me. So? Said Yujiro. You mean he's not gonna become rogue? Naruto would never do that, Sakura said. He would never, ever do that. So you're crying because he was rude, and he left without saying goodbye. As Sakura nodded, he was gone. I don't like it when he's gone, she said. I see, said Yujiro, as she placed her right hand over Sakura's shoulder. Why didn't you follow him, she asked. Because I don't know where he lives, sensei. I do, said Yujiro. But Sakura, this is unacceptable behavior, she said. You are Kunoichi. You do not sniffle or sob because a man left you without saying goodbye. Act like a shinobi and if you leave, and if you want to go after him, chase after him. Now go, and find your teammate and talk with him calmly. she was cut off, and asked him why he left first, said Hayate as he entered. Really, Yujiro, you always find the most interesting ways of making my life rather interesting, the man said. Patch her up before she leave and bleed out. As he stepped by Sakura and kissed Yujiro on the cheek. Precisely, said Yujiro. Now come here and let's get you clean. You look a mess. I'm sorry, Sensei. Don't be, said Yujiro. I actually expected something like this to happen, but not of this time of day. As her forehead was bandaged up, and Sakura left afterwards. Meanwhile, on top of the Hokage's head, as Naruto was getting what his father had left. If he was going to go into a war, he would need them. He had to apologize to Sakura. He had warned her, he told her not to watch it, and now she was discussing with him. He felt miserable though, if even Sakura puked after seeing him like that. Then who did he have left? Who could he trust? No one. And in his worstest moments, the Kyuubi laughed. Everything was going right. For once, maybe. He will have his chance, the Kyuubi thought to himself. As he looked down in the dark cell, someone was there or something. He simply laughed. Now, don't scowl. Your skin will wrinkle, said the Kyuubi. Time skip. The cemetery of Konoha was quiet. No one was there. If someone was to find him here, he would have an excuse ready. He was reminiscing over his past sensei, Ioba. He just had to find a tomb that his father told him to look towards. Rain. That was not a common name. As he went towards one that Kakashi usually visited. As he found the first one, a name named Obito Uchiha. He died in the 3rd Great Shinobi War. Next that he saw another name, Ren Noharu. As he moved his hand across the tombstone, there had to be some switch or hole that he could place the Harashin kunai in. But he found nothing as he pulled out the 3 from kunai that he got at the Hokage monument as he moved around the tomb. Was something supposed to happen? Or was he gonna have to dig his way through it? As he looked around carefully, when he saw there was no one there, he started to dig. It took him 2 minutes to dig under the ground, leaving a small amount of dirt above him. His right hand touched something tough and metallic. There was a metal panel there. As he placed the kunai down, as there was a slight click. As it gave way, he couldn't actually see what was in there because it was rather dark inside, but he could move his hands around and feel. His fingers touched metal and a few scrolls. As he grabbed them, he was going to check on them once he was out of here. There were 3 scrolls inside. One had to be the Harashin, but the other 2. Maybe Rasengan was one of them, but what was the other one? Maybe it was seals on Funjutsu. Judging how his father managed to keep the beast at bay, as he pushed the 3 scrolls in his jacket, as he pushed the 3 prom kunai down, as he closed back the latch. He then dig himself out of the ground. He cleaned himself as much as he could with his hands before he moved off. He reached his apartment without any problem. After all, a lot of shinobis had come home late and dirty after training hard. The few envoys he came across gave him a quick glance as he made his way. As he landed in front of his door, someone was there. Sakura was asleep. Her arms were on her head low. As she was still wearing her tuning jacket, as Naruto saw some small red stains on it. Why was she there to begin with? He could enter from the window, but if he did that, he would be leaving her outside, in the cold, and he would not do that. As he stepped forward, "Hey," he whispered. As she moaned quietly, "Hey," he said. "Sakura." 5 minutes, Mom, she said. "Just 5, Naruto," she said. "Sakura, I can't open the door with you right here," he said. "Door?" She snapped her head up as their eyes connected. She then hugged him. As she hugged him tightly, her hands grabbed at his back like claws, like she was afraid that he would run away. "Naruto," she whispered, as Naruto didn't understand what she was doing here. "Sakura, why?" "Why? Why did you leave me?" she asked. "But you were disgusted with what you saw. You went upstairs and you..." "No, I wasn't," she said. As she tilted her head to the side, I remember something else that was worse. As her body shook, instead of hugging herself, she pulled Naruto into another hug. It was scary. What I remember, it was scary. "Sakura," he said. "Do you want to come in?" he asked. As she nodded, as she placed her head against his shoulder. "Carry me," she said. As she placed her arms around his neck, moving around him to go on his back. "Sakura, what are you doing?" "Carry me," she said. "It's late and I'm tired." As she nuzzled her nose into the back of his neck, as Naruto stiffened at the contact. But it was cold outside, and he didn't want to stay out here for long, as he had no idea how long she has been waiting here. As he pulled out the key for his apartment and opened the door. "Do you want to talk?" he asked. "Sleepy," she said. "Sleepy." "You can't sleep on my back," he said, as the door closed behind him. As Naruto looked at his new apartment, He still had a few boxes to open, but the apartment came furnished. The Chunin rank had quite the benefits. It was no longer a one-room apartment, but multiple areas. Sofa, carpet, kitchen. He had television. Many things were inside. It even had a private bathroom with a shower. His bedroom, and not to mention a small room like an office. The sofa could double into a bed, and he could also swap the office room for a child bedroom in case of tuning couples. As he made his way towards the bed, he would put Sakura there and he would take the sofa. But the girl would not let him go. Well, more precisely, she was holding on to his tuning vest. So he sat down and unhooked it. As she was still holding on to it tightly. As he removed the 3 scrolls. As he rolled her over so she would be comfy. As he tiptoed towards the office area. The office had a desk and a chair, and a small overhead light bulb. As he guessed, the first one was a Harashin, and the other was a Rasengan. But the third one confused him though. Shisho phone. The 4-symbol sealing technique was a sealing that belonged to the Uzumaki clan. Once the appropriate key was given, the scroll could be opened as many things could be sealed inside. This technique was extremely dangerous, as people would destroy an entire country to get one of these. It didn't matter if you had an army at your command. Once someone used a scroll against you and your army, the seal would consume. It just took your chakra to initiate, but once it was dropped, it sucked everything in the radius. A mountain could be swallowed in an instant. But if you were going to seal away a strong creature, you need a living being. Because whatever that creature was made of, it's short. Naruto froze. You bastard. You damn goddamn bastard, said Naruto as he clenched his fist tight. He was about to break the table in half with rage, but Sakura was sleeping. You don't get to ignore me now, you sack of shit, said Naruto. You never told me about this. I always loaded Minato contingency plan. More than your ancestors. Using your chakra shortened my life, said Naruto. When were you planning on telling me this? Never, of course, the fox said. Well, there was no need hiding it now, it was out there in plain air. How many years? How many years are already gone, said Naruto. How many did you take? I did not take any years from you. You wanted my power, and you accepted it. So blame yourself. Answer my damn question, said Naruto. Very well. Give or take 90. As Naruto froze. What? 90? No, that's impossible. That doesn't make any sense. Uzumakis have a special chakra. It is naturally strong, and it is filled with, shall we call it yin and yang. The components are rather strong. Why do you think only a Uzumaki can hold me? Because my chakra, it's costly and deadly. Too strong for you mortals to ever hold inside yourself. Technically, one has to wonder why didn't Uzu want to keep me as their prisoner other than letting me go to Konoha? Well, maybe they did. Who knows? You're lying, said Naruto. Then ignore my words, Kurama said. One lie. Do you think that would negate all the truths I've given you? Well, if you are going to believe that way, then you are going to be a poor, pitiful man that cannot trust someone who saved your life repeatedly. You were taking my damn lifespan. Don't try to spin it around, said Naruto. You would have died if I hadn't helped you, and in death, do you think your lifespan matter, boy? How long will I live, said Naruto, his voice trembling. Uzumakis can live up to about 120 years old, so about in your 30s. But, as Naruto gripped his chest, guess what your father did, said Kurama. Exactly, he did not completely close the seal. He wanted my chakra to continuously mix with yours. But someone who is weak and pathetic like you can never learn how to master my power. You're nothing more than a small fragment of my hatred. Shut the hell up, said Naruto. I'm not listening to you. Very well, said Kurama. You have failed me the last time, Naruto. Henceforth, save your teammate by yourself. Let's see how far that gets you. As Naruto was left alone in his thoughts, his mind vague. As he just sat there, unknowing what to do. But guys, we'll be in episode right here. If you want to see these parts, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon over in Making 3. Peace, guys.